it feels much more combative. It feels much more like war-like scenario in mobile games.
We always call the mobile gaming industry like Pirates of Caribbean. Who has more gold, bigger ship, bigger cannons, that one wins. And there's no morals or rules or whatever. You just go, you copy whatever you can. Nobody cares.
Today I'm joined by a mobile game design leader with more than 10 years in free-to-play mobile games. Someone who's worked across more than 70 games and spent years studying how top studios scale mobile hits across design, monetization, and live operation.
You need to make a module. You cannot be making game. Games will fail. You will fail. So you cannot just we'll bet everything on this game. It either wins or kills the studio. In the current market, unfortunately, UA determines 70% of your success. If the UA step is not there, you're dead.
We talked about why Chinese studios are taking over more mobile genres, how user acquisition now shapes game design itself, and why many studios fail by building single-use games with a reusable system.
300 human beings full-time, and their only job is to make adverts for this game. Wow.
These things are massive. That's what I'm saying, that go to China, talk to people, see it for yourself.
From someone who spent years comparing how Eastern studios and Western studios build games, scale teams, and compete in mobile, please welcome this episode's guest, game designer and mobile gaming analyst, Jakub Remiar.
Jakub, welcome to the Gaming Playbook.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining. It's nice to have a podcaster on the podcast because you think of the listener. Yeah, it shows up. So I want to quickly recap what we're going to chat today for the listeners. So we were just vibing before, and Jakub had a personal request to go very deep. So what are we going deep in today? A few things. So yes, we're going to touch game design because Jakub is kind of the game design person when it comes to mobile games, but also a topic which probably needs more time, like airtime, which is kind of East versus West when it comes to especially the mobile games industry, but maybe even generally the games industry. So before we dive straight in, Jakub, I would love for you to quickly share. So I will quickly read a little rap sheet, and then maybe you share why you want to get into this topic. So, PhD in psychology, and went straight into the games industry where he used the PhD in VR to get recruited directly. 10 plus years in free to play game design, Pixel Federation, Supercell, over 70 free to play games, if not more. And he's also the co host of the probably the most listened to mobile gaming professional podcast alongside Felix and Matej. And on top of that, regular speaker at Games Forum, Obidictum, GamePamp, and an analyst for PocketGamer.biz. And you have a thesis that you've stated publicly where monetization is game design. So the two are quite inseparable. So I wanted to quickly say all of that stuff is you've been in this world for a very long time. And you mentioned before we started recording, you wanted to cover kind of the East versus West. You mentioned West is kind of closing their eyes. So maybe can you just open with that? Like, why did you want to talk about that specifically?
Yeah, so pretty much that's what the name of the day these days, because there are a few things that are, let's say, maybe let's go a little bit of timeline here, what's happening. For instance, just from my, let's say, personal experience and personal journey, we literally ditched Gamescom for ChinaJoy these last 3 years because it just gives us more value. Like, I'm not, hating on Gamescom, or Gamescom's great still,
Sure.
like, to be honest, but from specifically mobile games perspective and specifically know-how perspective, I still think people should go to ChinaJoy, and experience it in a way that you just will be able to talk to people that you don't really talk to at all. Whereas at Gamescom, we went there straight 8 years, 9 years in a row, and
Sure.
it's great and everything, but it keeps kind of going
So what
into
are you
this
getting
echo
from
chamber.
China that you're not getting from these Western events? Like you
You
said,
get the
value and
trends.
know-how.
You
Go
get the
on.
trends that are pretty much always trends are coming from east to the west. It's never the other way around. Just like
Never?
never, never,
That's like an
never.
absolute statement. Like
Yeah,
for how long has that been the case?
forever.
Really?
Forever, because pretty much in the east they had mobile phones before us, like whole Japan, like the mobile gaming when they started
I
there,
thought it was just on the advertising. You're saying even game design or
yeah, even game design.
interesting?
Like if you take for instance like the game, the first mobile game that ever grossed over 1 billion was Puzzle and Dragons.
Hmm.
The second game was Mobile Strike. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Yeah. No, not Monster Strike. Sorry. Those are both from Japan. And Puzzle and Dragons, you may know under its Western mutation, which is called Empires and Puzzles from Small Giant. That's the, let's say, the casualized version, because you still cannot do
Sure.
stuff that you could in there. But still, the trends are always coming from the east to west, whereas in the west, of course, we have our own trends. I'm not saying like we're completely followers here and
We're
like
not
never
inept.
never trendsetters. But what I'm saying is that usually the trends, both from game design, monetization, and user acquisition, that's the most important part of the puzzle these days, are coming from the east to the west, because that's just how things are. And people are unfortunately closing their eyes to it, because I still don't know how or why. But if we come to China, we talk to Chinese companies, we talk to their current problems, we talk to their headcounts, we talk, about what they're currently doing, what they're, what they're like. Let's not even talk about speed or like their man count or like, the manpower they can throw at these things, or like how they approach creatives and all these other things. Just the iterations, and you see how, for instance, they put always monetization first, and you could see it literally in their designs. That, for instance, a game comes up like Bang Bang Survivor. Bang Bang Survivor is like one of the biggest games out there. People don't really know it because Bang Bang Survivor, if you look it up on Sensor Tower, has like 250, 300 million all-time revenue. In reality, if you count all the revenue from China, as we spoke to the developers, it's over 1 billion. So, so that's 2024 game. So people just don't know because they don't see it. Or for instance, one of the things that really bothers me here in the West is that people don't talk about Dungeon and Fighter. Dungeon and Fighter did something like 600, 700 million in a month when it launched in China. Nobody cares about it. Nobody talks
Okay,
about it.
so if I'm listening to this podcast, Jakub, I'm like, well, you mentioned a few titles that I didn't know because you're telling me people's eyes are closed. So why do you think people's eyes are closed? Is it literally they don't know what they don't know? Is it because of
I think
incentives? What's
it's a
happening?
big disregard, because most of these games, they just work in the East, which is like, yeah, it is like, that's how it is. Like, we don't have giant Japanese games making
When you
revenue
say
in.
work, do you mean like actually only operate in the East, or do you mean like the
Yeah.
type of game would only work in the East?
Yeah, the type of game would only work in the East. So let's say I don't know, one of the first games that actually break through this, let's say, curse or whatever, is Uma Musume Pretty Derby. It's
Okay.
the horse girls racing game that was doing like 80 million a month in Japan. It's in like heavy decline, but they finally launched into the West in 2025, I think.
Yeah, one of my past podcast guests, Yoni Lapalin, he like grew to like top 10 as soon as it released. He was like, "This is the
Yeah,
best game of all time."
yeah.
I was
Like
like, "Great."
honestly, that is one of the best games in my opinion. And it's like it's the first Japanese game that was able to breach this magical threshold of, in its original form, it was able to do more than 50% of revenue outside of
Why do you
Japan.
think they managed to do it and other games aren't?
Because it's extremely specific and it's very dependent on the horse racing community. People
Okay.
underestimate how strong the horse racing
Oh yeah,
community actually is.
yeah. They're they're in many numbers and they have wallets because they're typically
But
it's
this
wide
game,
range.
this game is literally like one of the main sponsors of the like horse racing competitions around the world. Like they have their own Grand Prix in France. So this is a very
Okay.
very
Yeah,
specific
no joke.
case. Yeah,
Okay, so Jakub, if
definitely no joke.
but if that's the case, right? Let me role play a little bit. I'm listening to this. I'm a dev. I happen to live in the West. I haven't had the pleasure of going to ChinaJoy. And you just mentioned only one game has went from East to West. So why should I focus any time on what the East is doing if
Yeah.
those games are not breaking through?
Yeah. So our charts are slowly being taken over the Chinese companies. So Forex has fallen basically. Like there's one team that can compete with Chinese, which is Score Warrior, the Total Battle guys that are sitting in Cyprus actually, and they are extremely good at what they do. They were pretty much able to like revive or like do record revenue with like 8 to 9 year old game. This is like an amazing feat, but still, if you look at the top like third generation people that do Forex, which is Century Games and River Game, that there's no competition. Like there's no Western game competition basically. Like you had these days of Machine Zone or all these other companies that were kind of competing there, where you would have like Arnold Schwarzenegger advertisements all over the place, Kate
Sure.
Upton, and all these Game of War things. Like those days are gone, like gone forever. And this whole trend that Forex is driving is spreading elsewhere. We see it already in Merge. Merge is also being taken by Chinese. Top 10 games in Merge are 8, I think, all of them being Chinese, where you have Microfun basically cornering the market with like 4 games, spearheading with Gossip Harbor. You have Century Games, again, the Forex company now making the second biggest Merge game now. and this is spreading to other genres. Like another good example could be, if you remember this very, very ambitious project that Space Ape had, which was Chrome Valley Customs, like male-oriented match 3. Now Truckstar pretty much completely took its market share. Again, another game from Century Games.
I'm listening to you speak, and I don't get this sort of clear-cut competition with the other side of like PC console. Like when you're speaking to me, it literally sounds like kind of like a war. Like there's X amount of players. Nearly drew up my water. But there's X amount of players, and what I'm hearing is, if you were succeeding, and you mentioned 4X, so that means like the strategy games where it's top down, right? Yeah. Okay. So there are X amount of players out there. There's only so much money that could be spent on UA after it gets like unprofitable. And just so I want to make sure I understand, China is seeing, wow, Merge is doing all right. And now, over time, because with China Magic, we'll probably get into, they're now 8 of the top 10 are Chinese. And this is a challenge for anyone who's in the West, because I'm guessing, like you said, is so much of the industry is done with UA, where if you can't afford to buy a user because you won't make enough money, then you're kind of actually can't really compete, right? You need the economics to make sense. Like, did I understand that correctly?
Yeah, that's extremely correct.
Crazy. So if you can't be as efficient as this company in China when it comes to that player base, I mean,
they price
I'm
you
just
out of the market. It's very simple.
Yeah, this is like logistics though. Like if you can't afford to pay, or the other way around, if you can't find a way to outsource the talent to the Indian subcontinent, let's say, like just that way, and have your core team in West, then is there an option? Like I know you speak a bit about Supercell, right? So in my head, I'm like, is Supercell just like this exception, right? Like they can manage to do everything, in the West. Are they? I don't really know the details that far, but
Supercell is like a very specific thing, because Supercell, if you look at it, haven't really released a game from Brawl Stars in like a successfully scaled game.
Yeah. For people who don't know, like what timeline is that? Like, is that for the last how many
Brawl
years?
Stars is, I think, 2018 or something.
Oh, so it's a long time. Okay.
Yeah, long time ago. So yeah, they keep releasing and killing games. Like, of course, like they're extremely innovative, and like, yep, kudos to that for sure. But for instance, they run their very specific kind of a setup, which is, again, they have their influencer army. They don't really run like giant performance UA marketing thing, even though they say like Ilkas used to always brag in his blog that like we have 90% organic traffic. Like, yeah, sure, 90% organic, but then you pay an army of influencers on YouTube. So, which is in the end the paid traffic. So,
yeah.
And this model is just, it can't really compete with the Chinese model. So, in my opinion, Supercell kind of missed this chance, and they should be there in the 4X category. Like, I was waiting for Clash of Clans style 4X for like a long time, and to me, it seems like a logical move, because you have like one of the biggest strategy games on the market, which is Clash of Clans. You have the other big strategy game on the market, which is Clash Royale. So why not get like into the biggest segment that is on the market, which is 4X, with your expertise in strategy?
Just so I understand, because I think I now understand so my dad plays a 4X game. So he plays like a crypto 4X. He's played that every day for the last 2-3 years.
Oh, you need to, otherwise you get kicked out of the clan and you get eaten by the clan.
I have that on Clash Royale. Like I was trying to min-max, right? I'm like, I'm a business owner. Let me join the best clan.
Yeah.
And they're like, there's a Discord, and I get personally DMs like, bro, do your war.
Yeah, do your dailies.
It's like, we're trying to get 5% extra rewards, but I'm like, I'll do my freaking dailies. So he has that extreme level.
It's a job, literally.
He's like, he's got a sub account. So I now understand 4X. So this, just to maybe give a bit of a picture here. So like you said, it's the biggest genre. Like, do you have any rough numbers to paint a picture here? Like, is it the biggest by a margin? Like, should I?
But revenue-wise, like you can just look in the latest Sensor Tower report. Like you can see there, like it's pretty much like most of the growth from last year is 4X for sure.
Wow. So I don't want to be doom and gloom, Jakub. Like, do I like if I don't live in China, do I not make games? Like,
I'm not saying don't make games. I'm just saying make them efficiently and learn from the Asians.
All right,
because they do it efficiently. Like,
all right.
It's not that all it's doom and gloom and like only in China they can make good games. Like, look at Turkey. Like Turkey is
Yeah.
like one of the best markets in the world. Why? Because they work their ass off and they have the expertise in puzzle. They are like pristine expertise in puzzle. They know what they're doing. And this isn't just them, of course. Like Playrix, for instance, still is live and kicking. Township is, I don't know, the biggest game. They just will have like a separate episode on this soon where they literally completely changed the game to be not just simulation, to be this kind of all game, all like buffet of stuff. And like there's match 3 in it, for instance. So there's other teams, of course, but there's very few. If you look at like a lot of Chinese teams, they like dominate pretty hard. And don't get me wrong, there are still Chinese teams that, for instance, the second generation of Forex guys, FunPlus and Lilith, they're barely kind of trying to catch up to people like Century and River Game. They were the kings before in the COVID era, not now anymore. Like River Game is, for instance, just the data that we see. River Game is doing like 250 mil with those 4 Forex games on the like Western market. And we still don't see the WeChat revenue, the Chinese stores revenue, and the other revenue that you just cannot track in China.
Yeah. Okay. Let's role play if you don't mind. So I want to do 3 things here. You have context. You obviously talk about this. You're a consultant, so you see multiple games, and you've actually been to ChinaJoy when some of our listeners haven't, right? So I want to do a role play where Jakub's starting a game studio. Hell yeah. What decisions are you making that maybe, in your opinion, others are not, which I think maybe are big mistakes? Like if you're trying to build a studio from the ground up, what's like the biggest thing you're going to focus on? Like what's the 3 biggest things, for example?
Yep. So first you need genre expertise. Like do stuff that you understand. If you don't, you will fail, and you'll fail miserably. That's the biggest problem.
What's your choice then? What are you picking?
What am I picking? I would do most probably like iteration on RPG. RPG is my like favorite. As for like, I want to work on RPG because I grew up on RPG, and of course either idle or some kind of hybrid or whatever. Hybrid in case of like genre, not monetization. But yeah, that would be RPG. Anyway, do stuff in a way that you understand the market, understand the competition, understand what's there, and as usual, like look where the market is heading and have some kind of giant innovation. Don't just copy stuff. Like giant innovation, a good example could be Diablo 1. Diablo 1 was one of the biggest innovations because it literally created the action RPG genre, because the game was turn-based before. It was like Fallout, the old one. It was turn-based, and then somebody or a bug or whatever it was not even Blizzard. Like Diablo was bought by Blizzard. It was Condor or whatever was the guys, the Blizzard North basically become. They just pushed the turns to be instant. So the turns were instant in the RPG, which created this action RPG, which is the giant innovation here. So something like this, like go for something that creates, its own identity, its own things, and like go big or go home. In our opinion, it's a requirement. Yeah, it's a requirement for
Isn't
sure.
That scary though? Because
it's extremely scary.
Because I'm trying to, let's say, convince a publisher, a bank, I don't know, wherever I'm going to get financing from eventually. Because we had a podcast recently with Bernie Games, and they're publishing games.
I know them very well. Yep.
Yeah, so she mentioned something which stuck with me. It's like, if your game does well, we're going to need more money, not less, because we need to like pump through UA.
Yes, you need to scale it. But
so if
it's scaling up, it's not a problem. If it's scaling up and you already have positive ROI on the campaigns, like people will get a mortgage. It's not that big of a problem. Problem is getting
you just find the money, put it in the money printer, we'll be okay.
Yeah,
like what I'm trying to say is, like, this massive innovation, why are we seeing so many copycats if you're saying it's a requirement? Like, for me, it makes intuitive sense. But the market, at least, my mobile game feed, I'm like, isn't this the freaking same game I've seen for the last 5-10 years?
Because if you have the infrastructure, if you have marketing analytics and all these other things, it's easy. Sometimes it's like it's basically more stable money, because if you can copy it and it will work, like it will work. It won't be the best game, it won't be the biggest game, but it will make cut, it will make profit. That's
so you are making a game studio to make the most money here?
Not really the most money, but to pretty much kill it in a way that you are going for that one goal that's like an innovation, not like a copycat.
You want to be a kingmaker, at least, of that mini genre within the genre.
Yeah, like again, it's like 80-20, man. Like you don't really need to reinvent the wheel. Like you take 80% of what's there and you just, a good innovation, to give you an example, would be Golf Clash. Golf Clash is, in my opinion, one of the best innovations out there. When everybody during that 2016 era was copying Clash Royale, these guys copied just the Clash Royale meta game, which was, in my opinion, brilliant, and they just switched the core gameplay through golfing loop, which was also pretty innovative by that time. And that's it. And then you have a 20 mil a
Got
month
it.
game. That's it.
So I mean, it's come up a lot, right? You get genres, they're popping off. No one's done both of these together in this
Yeah.
specific way. Innovation.
Yeah. Second thing, which is even more important, to be honest, which I think most of people fail, which is again the signature Chinese way, is that you need to make a module. You cannot be making a game. So games will fail. You will fail. It's assured you will fail. So like
Define
get
failure there.
yeah. So it's like failure is part of the process. So you cannot just like we'll bet everything on this game. It either wins or kills the studio. Like this is just not that it.
Gambling.
Yeah. Rather, I would have like 5 shots than one. Whereas what you do is you create kind of a module or setup which then enables you to iterate through it. So a good example would be something like Grand Games or Spike or like similar, where they have the metagame layout, they have the live ops layout, like all these other systems, or Hobby, for instance. Hobby, these guys were the ones that like Gorilla guys, basically. They were the ones that come up with this setup where you are following your genre. You pretty much create a template. The template locks you in the genre. You cannot really go outside of it because it's a template. So you cannot like Hobby, for instance, is just making action RPGs, roguelites, because they cannot make anything else because that's what meta pretty much
Even the
works there.
meta game's the same. Like I actually
It's
played
exactly
quite a
the
few
same.
Happy games.
Yeah, it's exactly the same. And what you do here is that you just change the core, iterate, innovate, and try to get the best retention as possible to kind of scale it up. And it will fail. But if it fails, doesn't matter because all that work and money invested and resources that you put there into the game get recycled into the next game, which will be done faster than the previous game because what you do, you just switch the core. And you do this multiple times. So each time as you do this, every second game is done faster than the previous one, increasing your shots on goal basically.
Nice.
And at some point, you have like more and more and more and more and more until you hit one. Hopefully, you hit the one until you run out of money before. And that's it. Like, in my opinion, this is the most efficient, optimal way. Because
Makes
if you
sense.
just go and just, we'll do this and then we'll do completely different genre, completely different, whatever, you're just losing money. And if you look at the hobby template, for instance, throughout the years, how it evolved, they actually evolve it between the iterations. So actually, with each failed game, it gets stronger because you can see literally how they absorb a lot of features from Legend of Mushroom, how they absorb a lot of features from these other like joined games or like the games that are their competitors. They literally like integrate it into their template. So all the new games that they'll be going from this point on already have those integrated.
Yeah. You mentioned 5 shots on goal. Like, do you think that's like advice that every game developer should start thinking about when it comes to I'm gonna make this game? If I can't use a big chunk of what I'm spending my time on for the next 4 titles, I should really reconsider. Like, do you feel like that's
Yes,
a yeah?
yes, for sure. Like, is the most efficient way. Like, literally, if I tell you that you can buy 5 lottery tickets instead of 1, how much more chance you get to win the lottery? Because
Yeah.
this whole industry is basically about playing the lottery, and the one that wins is the one that buys most tickets, not the ones that buys the
Yeah.
winning
At a
ticket.
discount, right?
Yeah,
Like, if you
exactly.
Nice. Okay, so we have number 1, pick something that I'm either gonna be all in because I love the genre and I'm gonna actually focus on it, or I
And you
already have
understand it.
expertise
Yeah.
and understanding. And then number 2, build it modular enough where the thing I'm building in the Happy example can be reused for future titles and we can reinvest the learnings. What would be the third thing?
Third thing, make sure that you understand UA.
Do I just hire a UA consultant? I can just look at your network.
I would say make sure that you understand how to scale UA in the current market because in the current market, unfortunately, UA determines 70% of your success. This is just how it is. Like you can have the best game. Like again, you could do all these steps that I said until now, but if the UA step is not there, you did. Like
So you did a
that's
post
it.
recently around Subway. I was
Yeah, yeah,
reading
yeah.
it before, and you mentioned Subway Surfers has like a bunch of organic traffic. So organic traffic does exist in mobile games, but you're mentioning UA is still a huge focus. So like maybe explain because someone might be listening to this like, yeah, I can just make a great game and I'm going to get word of mouth, right? Like, why not?
No, in mobile you don't. Even chronic stuff like let's take Flappy Bird. Like people always brags about like a Flappy Bird, like that guy did like this went viral and everything. No, he didn't. If you look at like actually what happened, Flappy Bird was there sitting at the store for a year. doing nothing until PewDiePie played it on his stream. That's it.
I remember. I watched it and then I played it.
See, that's how it works. So if you make even like this viral game or viral hit, it's just all based on marketing. Unfortunately, like there are few games these days that are able, like we literally call these like one-man wonders, and we covered multiples of these on the podcast on the channel. For instance, one good example would be Granny. Like Granny is this kind of horror game. It's multiple series, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, done by one guy, and because it has so much virality around it, I mean, YouTube videos, TikToks, everything, it is able to run on pure organics.
I
But
think
it's been there sitting for, I don't know, 7 or 8 years.
Yeah, so this is something I keep asking because I don't make games. I've
Mhm.
bought the domain hivemind.game because maybe one day I want to go crazy and be, people keep saying don't make a game studio, but I feel like, what's the worst that can happen? And I've seen and I did some research. Like I love Balatro, right? I don't
Of
play it
course, same
anymore.
here. We did an episode on it. Yep.
Yeah, and I now play Clash Royale because I'm like metagame, just take my time, whatever. And with Balatro, I was curious, how did this make money? Because it's a very famous and recent one-person studio, and it works on mobile.
Mhm.
And then someone did a very nice breakdown, and he very purposely did everything he could to get Northern Lion to stream it privately before the game was out. And then when Northern Lion streamed it, there was like 5 other streamers that then streamed it, gave personal feedback, and then there's these streamers who are very popular streaming a game that no one can play. And then you can apply to join the beta. And then when I actually discovered Balatro, I didn't play it. I just went on YouTube. I was like, oh, let me watch it. And I started binging it. But there was so much Balatro content. And I think it's because the game was built with them in mind, right?
Of
Like it was
course.
so streamable. Like the UI is great. And when you mentioned that thing about Granny, it had virality built in. You can do conscious decisions to make a game more YouTube/streamer friendly.
Yes.
And even if you're not going to use, let's say, I want to be a one-person studio. I had, I don't know if you know these guys, Baby in Yellow. Do you know that game at all?
I
It-
heard about it. Yep. Yeah,
so
it's
I
on
had
our
the
list.
CEO
It's on our
So I
list.
had the CEO on the podcast, and he explained exactly what they did. It was a massive fluke. They put it on itch.io. Someone streamed it. Boom. It was like one of those horror indie games. And then they realized, oh crap, we have all these people playing the games. Someone copied the game on mobile, and they were getting ad revenues. Like, well, we should do that. They made the official, and then they just run on ads. They do no paid UA, and they have like 100 millions of downloads,
Mhm.
something crazy.
Yep.
But it all happened from the virality. So I'm going on and on about this, but like, does everything have to be paid UA? Like that seems like, could we not engineer that? Like that's like B2B
If you
sales. I need to
can.
convince one streamer to play my game.
If you can, you can, but you don't see the other 1,000 people who try to do this and fail miserably.
But it's cheaper, no? Just convincing a streamer to play my game. Am I being dumb? Tell me.
The thing is that it's not like something that VC want to hear when they're funding your company. That
Or do you need funding at that point? At this
like,
point in
of
time,
course
like
you
if you
don't.
want,
Like if you have like a bootstrap, again, another good example could be like Level Devil. If you know, like it's top 3 platformer currently on the market. It's just, I don't know, 40 or 50 levels. Again, one guy. Extremely good game. It's like a troll platformer where the game literally kills you and like
yeah,
like pull stuff like
very
rug under your
streamable.
feet. Yeah, extremely streamable. Again, stuff like that. It's great, but again, these things we call them one-man wonders because they are really wonders and they cannot be really copied. If it's that easy, basically, that we would see hundreds of them, but it's just not, because even getting this kind of viral spark in the YouTubes and TikToks and everywhere, it's not assured. Whereas if you have a money printer, like a game that has good KPIs and you pour money into it, you can scale it and it's assured. It's like literally a money printer.
Yeah.
Like if for instance, let's talk recent game. So Pixelflow. Pixelflow already acquired by Scopely. Like the team's perfect. Like we spoke to them before. Kubra's, like in my opinion, one of the best puzzle designers out there ever. And you can see that it's like hard work that they put into it, and it was not an accident, not an accident at all. Like she showed us the game before the launch. We immediately knew like this will be big. We just didn't knew this will be that big, but you could see that
Why
like
did you know it would be big for people at home who maybe want to make a
uh,
game as good as that?
because when when we saw the innovation and the iteration there, you could just see it's just too unique in a way that like
It's
she did
too
some
innovative.
not too innovative, actually not that bit innovative. Like if you look at it, it's actually taking a lot of stuff from This Is Blast from Voodoo, making it much better. Like the mechanic, and as I said, 80/20, man. It's like you don't need to reinvent the wheel to make like one of the best games out
Huh.
there. Like take for instance, Fortnite. Like what Fortnite did. Fortnite basically was a failed game when it was released, like literally a failed game because it was this like zombie defense, whatever something, and then like oh, there's like PUBG. Like why don't we remodel the game to PUBG mode, and then like that became Fortnite, and
Yeah.
because they only them had the power to do it because they run their own engine and they like just throw so much manpower at it, and that's why in whole Fortnite, that's why you have this like stair building or whatever barricade building thing. It's just a remnant of the former game that was not even intended, in my opinion. It was just part of this
Yeah,
kind of
that's funny.
organic
That makes
process.
sense now that you say that.
Yeah, like it
Like
was not intended because it was never intended to be a battle royale mechanic. It was just the remnant of the old zombie defense game that they built to begin with, which failed miserably.
crazy. Okay, so I think I'm gonna make a game studio. I feel like I can just avoid all the mistakes. This seems doable. All right.
Like to be honest, one of the things that I really want to wait for, or like pretty much if I would be making a game studio, is I would wait for AI to be stronger and more reliant and
What are you
efficient.
seeing now? I know you've been talking about it a little bit.
Yeah, been tinkering with it a lot. I mean, like really a lot. Like I run my models like open source on my PC and tinker with them, play with
What does
them.
that mean? So if I'm using Claude Team and you
No,
just said,
I use Chinese stuff from Alibaba that you can
yeah,
run.
so what I'm trying to say is like, should I be using Chinese stuff from Alibaba?
You
Like,
can. It's free. It's open source. You can turn off your internet. It's not sending anything anywhere. Like
the thing I like is the connectors. That's really powerful for me on Claude. Like, can you do that on your stuff?
To be honest, I'm mostly working with like Gen
Generative
AI.
stuff.
Yeah, like image and video. So I guess you can do that with DeepSeek.
Is that just
DeepSeek
for
also has like
creative?
yeah. That's mostly for creative for sure.
Yeah.
That's for
Okay.
because in my opinion, the biggest kind of impact currently on the game industry is the creative aspect. At least mobile game industry. Like of course you can optimize and do this and that and like be a little bit more efficient, but it's nothing like groundbreaking. Like groundbreaking in a way that let's say Doom was groundbreaking when we had 3D physics and suddenly we went from 2D to 3D, like
Yeah.
something like that. We're not there yet. Like there are not games that are only enabled by AI, and without AI they wouldn't work. We're not there yet. But with this kind of a creative velocity that these models can output, and like you see it in the Chinese games, they're already running on it. Like there are studios that are running 90 to 95%, like all of their creative portfolio
Yeah. I
on
mean,
AI
I'm getting
generated.
Kingshot ads. They're all
Yeah,
freaking
Kingshot's one of
AI.
those,
I'm
and
like, bro,
yeah, it's
I
everywhere.
at the start tried to boot like I'm not interested in Kingshot because I
But
played it,
but
I
but the
downloaded
thing
it.
is that again, this is the Chinese model. Like they run very very big creative velocity. Like you need to have like what like 2,000, 3,000 creatives per month in order
What's
to
the
be able.
average in the West?
Average in the West, like small, like less than 1,000, unfortunately. Like for us, the benchmark is like if you're launching a game, you need at least 1,000.
So just to get a quick understanding, 2,000 different ad creatives, which these aren't just like static images. These could be like mini trailers, like
Playables or
stories,
yeah,
playables.
all together. Like it's like static images, playables, and videos together, but mostly it's videos and playables.
Yeah, that's like me. I have a content agency, right? We do 12 LinkedIn posts in a month. The cap is 6 clients because there's a lot of back and forth, right? For like one person. And you're saying 2,000 creatives for one
Yeah.
launch. So that
Man,
isn't
like
even
take Whiteout Survival. Whiteout Survival have like 200, 300 team on creatives and UA.
what?
Headcount. Yes.
300 human beings full
Yes.
time, and their only job is
Yes.
to make adverts for this game.
Yes.
And what's the development team? Like 1,000, or is it like less?
Another 200 or 300, I would guess.
Wow. Yeah. So wow.
These things are massive. Like that's what I'm saying. That go to China, talk to people, see it for yourself.
I mean, do you need that? Am I silly? Like, how many different variations of a creative do you need? Like to do that much A/B testing, like surely.
Man, the thing is that people maybe don't understand this kind of, let's say, rule, or let's say natural phenomena, where the bigger your spend is, the faster you're basically using your creatives. Like they're gonna get worn down faster.
Because you're gonna tire your audience with it, like they've seen it
Yeah,
before.
yeah, basically that. So if I have a great creative, I use it, and then again, the more I'm spending, the less efficient it gets until it kind of hits a threshold and like it's shit, and you need
Becomes
to.
unprofitable. Ah,
Yeah, yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
So
So
any
you need more and more and more. And if you're literally spending like 2 or 3 million a day, which these guys are doing like double than that, or how many I don't even know, you need like a lot. You need a
But
lot
that's
of
why
these.
there's so many fake ads, right? Because they ran out of
No, it's
we
not
can't talk about
so
this
many
part.
fake ads. It's only fake ads.
No,
Because
what I'm getting at is like I remember playing Kingshot and I was like, I'm a savvy person
but
now. I've
but
done
see, this
podcasts
is the
and
thing.
like
This is the thing again. The Chinese UA way where they're not fake anymore
it's
because
mini
they
game after
they
an
put the
hour,
creative
here's
into the
4x.
game itself, and there it's not fake because it equals itself. So if you, for instance, let's take Kingshot. Kingshot is actually taken from a Steam indie game. There's this game called Thronefall. If you Google it on Steam, it literally looks like Kingshot. It's made by two people from Germany. They even use the same music in the creatives. They just ripped
China.
it off because it had probably very good CPI and then duct tape it on top of Whiteout Survival. And then you have Kingshot. That's Kingshot pretty much. The biggest game of last year in mobile.
That's what I'm saying. Like, surely we can do this, Jakub. Like, we should start a game studio. This is not complicated. We take
it's,
game,
it's
we rip off
extremely
some
hard.
two Germans. GG, bro. Like,
because the other problem that we have here in the, let's say, not in the West, but overall the whole mobile gaming is getting there pretty much, is that there are only very few engines on the market that are able to keep the cost of LTV in order to be competitive
you say
with the
engine?
CPI.
You're talking Unity and stuff now?
No. By engine, I mean like a game design core meta engine. So a Forex engine or a puzzle engine or a social
So, like,
social casino
the
looter
meta
engine.
system that could
Yeah.
allow enough spend depth.
Yeah. Like imagine it because games are always consisting of two things: core gameplay and meta game. You have these two main kind of pillars, and you're already kind of changing those around and stuff like that. And meta game is the one that usually makes money. Core gameplay is the one that makes fun, or like the one that kind of catches you in. But core gameplay is not fun 20,000 times after you play it. It's meta game that's driving the long-term retention
Yeah.
because you're progressing, doing stuff, loops,
It's like
so on and so forth.
RuneScape. It's like, it's after a while, it's just chat simulator. Like,
Yeah,
you're just
exactly.
chatting with friends.
So So the thing is that we're getting literally to the point where only few of these engines are able to keep up, and all the other engines are pretty much like dying down because they just cannot keep up because just the CPI is growing so high that
Yeah, that's what I'm
just
thinking. Like, after a certain time, there's only a certain amount of genres which can afford, because
Yes.
so much money is being poured into these two platforms, which is like Meta or iOS or whatever you want to put it. That's where, in my head, I'm like, it's very different to the music or even the PC console industry, because you can make a game for X money, sell X copies, make profit, and that's one project. But with mobile games, you literally can't, because UA costs are being competed with these centimillion, if not $1 billion companies, which they don't do it once because they're not launching a movie, they're launching like IP, and it's like, so like
Yeah.
you can't.
Man, they will outspend you. Like it's been
It's
done
like
there.
it feels much more combative. It feels much more like warlike scenario in mobile
Cutthroat,
games.
Yeah.
Because it's like
Yeah.
it's like a 4x game. Like, here's the
Exactly.
genre.
Like
I have
we
that
always
much money
we
I can
always
put in.
call the mobile gaming industry like Pirates of Caribbean because it literally works like that. Like Hugh has more gold, bigger ship, bigger cannons. That one wins, and there's no morals or rules or whatever. You just go, you copy whatever you can, whatever the law office can allows you, and you go with it, and nobody cares.
This is weird because I'm feeling, I don't know if this is the right feeling, but more sympathetic. I was in Games Forum a couple years ago, I remember, and I was watching a whole talk about fake ads and why they do them. And they just talked about it and they said, look, this is what works, so we're going to do it. And I remember being in the audience, and I'm not like in game dev, I'm just like chilling. And I'm like, surely you can just like not lie and be fine. And then hearing you say this now, I'm like, well, no, because if he doesn't do what makes more money, he loses his job, if not all of his team. because you're
market
competing
share.
against people who will do it.
Yes, that's what's gonna happen.
So unless it's illegal, it's basically done.
It's not illegal. It's not illegal at all.
Yeah, so I'm trying to say, like, if it's not illegal, people will do it, because if you don't do it, the
Yeah.
others will.
And you know
like,
what's the biggest irony of this whole thing? The biggest irony that in China on Douyin is the Chinese version of TikTok, fake ads are banned. They will ban you. They'll ban you if you run them.
wow.
And it's not about like, oh, we can't, we don't know if it was fake or not. And like, yeah. So if it's like all bullshit basically from the advertising companies, because they would lose the money. And they just don't want. That's it. Like that's like it's our own fault basically that we have this fake ad. In China, they like on some platforms they don't, because just
Yeah,
Douyin
like
said that they'll
UK
ban
put
them.
some legislation about like the sexual ads. Like I might have to just go full China, literally just ban lies. Crazy, interesting. All right, so I'm learning a lot here. I want to think about the person listening to this who can influence product, because I feel
Mhm.
like you'd be a great resource for them. So I'm gonna use you to help them. All right, so
Sure.
let's say I'm a product leader
Mhm.
and I need to prioritize stuff. So not starting the studio. I already have a studio. The typical consulting gigs that you have, like, what do you see is the main kind of? I would love you to lead this because you know them better than me. But like, what does a product leader currently, in your opinion, really struggle with, and what maybe is the words you want to share them? So like, where should
Mhm.
they be prioritizing?
Product leader as producer or game designer?
Maybe define them. Like, what's the
Define them.
difference in your eyes?
Yeah. Producer is the one that pretty much runs the project, doesn't really design the game specifically. Game designer is the one that actually, does the number sheets, the, systems and
Let's do
features.
both. So
Yeah.
the game designer. Actually, sorry, I'm asking a few questions, but like in China, do they treat the org chart differently than the West as well? Should we address
Yeah, I
that?
think so a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like for instance, their monetization is much more prestige in a way. Or not prestige, but like it's considered to be like default. Like it's always start from monetization, whereas in the West it's mostly start from the creative. Like
Which is
what
weird because in most like typical companies, the person who's in charge of growing the company is like either CEO or is quite high up.
Mhm.
But I think because it's a passion driven industry, it's a bit flipped in here anyway.
Yeah, in the West.
Mm.
They're not like they're like very money number driven. It works for
Yeah.
them pretty well. The thing is that, or let's say the thing that people mostly struggles with, and that's what I usually help with, is that your genre expertise is only best as your best man on the project, and you unfortunately live in this echo chamber, which is a problem usually, that you don't know what you don't know. And if you don't have like a second pair of eyes to tell you that, like, somebody that's seen stuff or like done stuff, like it's like a big problem, especially with companies that have like low international kind of headcount, that let's say like 20 to 30% like international is normal for some companies, as for like how much headcount is like going from around the place. For some companies like 5%, or like in my country is usually like zero, because like we just have that kind of a close thing here. And
Hmm.
then it kind of creates this very dangerous bubble that like you just don't know what you're missing, charts, literally like dashboards, like KPIs to track, to
Can you not
benchmark.
fix that with going to a conference, going to ChinaJoy, going to, for example, getting consultants like that? I used to do a lot of contract recruitment, and they kind of, some of the studios, like mobile gaming studios, solved that with a Unity consultant for 6 months to help them fix a problem. They then do a transfer and then see you later. Um, like, does it have to be all core team?
Uh, Again, depends really like how your studio is built. But again, most of the time, and let's say the people I'm helping with most, is that like I've seen a lot of stuff that they haven't seen, and like I tell them about it basically. Like this is,
Yeah,
even sometimes getting people the benchmark of like this number should be this, and like
that's yeah.
like where you at, basically it gives them a lot of comfort of like we're doing really good or really bad, or like how are we even because you don't know, like if you're there
It's
just
so funny. So I do the same type of consulting, but with like business growth, and I'm lucky in that I do consulting and I do it for 8 companies now. So I have like quite a range of benchmarks, and I won't name any names, but like there's a few marketing agencies doing like a few million a year, all on word of mouth. I'm like, bro, like this company has two BDs, again, they're 20 qualified meetings from going to a conference every 2 months, which you're already doing, but you're not doing it to book meetings. And they're actually messaging people, God forbid, about your services. You're managing to do great, and you're doing none of that, no follow ups because you think it's icky. And I'm just like, look at the gap. Just please do something. And some of
Yeah.
them like, yep, thank you. That's enough.
Yeah, like that's exactly that. So a lot of times it's just like this filling the holes things where like we just need to fill those holes, and once they're filled, like people kind of get back on track, or like they're just like much better off. The other problem is sometimes is that again, some of the things like even are beyond me. Like again, if you tell me like please help me with this, and I know I can't because I haven't, for instance, like I haven't specifically worked on like the mathematics of like a social casino coin looter genre game, which is like extremely mathematically. I
Very
feel like
specific as well. Was that
yeah,
recent?
yeah. Like I feel like I cannot, like I know how it should work, but I cannot build it myself. Let's say so. That's another example. So most of the times it's like these kind of very very hands-on things. Like 50% of time, I would say it's economies. Like you would be really amazed how people underestimate economies, and like how much I just end up just showing them their spend depth, their overall like kind of daily resource budgeting, and how they're moving the layers. Like just in an RPG, for instance, adding one more layer, like again, it needs to be accounted for. So more player power comes from it, more spend comes from it. The PvE environment needs to account for it, so you need to increase like the power that you're demanding from the players through the gating system or whatever your enemies are in the
So
game,
can
stuff like
we
that.
spend some time on this? Because I used to do a bunch of interviews for game devs, and the commercial awareness is actually quite low. And I
Yeah,
think
that,
for some of
that's
them, it's like
yeah,
it's almost against their spirit to think about it, and it's a
yeah,
weird,
that's my whole point. Game design is monetization, man.
yeah, but not for everyone. Like at least let's put it this way: not for the graduates, some of them, right, and
Yeah.
or some people who are in their bubble, right. So when you say just showing them like, hey, your spend depth could be like this, or you need to think of it like this, like so. What is a very common scenario where you come in and you're like, oh, guys, please stop doing this. Do why? When it comes to like the economy, because I think this is
No,
going to be a common
exactly,
situation.
exactly this. Like, there's rampant inflation in the economy. People don't want to kind of, close their eyes before it. Don't want to even put it in the sheet. Like, you just don't have basic simulation. Like, there's like, I'm just asking, like, can you at least tell me all the things and sources? And the guy's like, there's no sheet. Like, he literally needs to go into Unity and pick me the definitions, even to know like how much they're giving away on like daily quests and stuff like that, to just understand. And then I put it into simulation, and like we figure out that like, oh, by the way, we're giving so much for free basically, and nobody cared because the ship could be
So is
running.
that like lack of an economy focused headcount? Like, do they need an economy designer? Like,
In my
this sounds
opinion,
structural.
this shouldn't be economy. Like we used to do this when I was working in Finland as game designers. Like game designers were owning the monetization, the core ideation, the all the RPG elements of the game. Like everything was done by game designers. Like in China also, it's like kind of default. Like game designers do the monetization.
Oh,
In
interesting.
West, we
So
have like
just to understand,
economy monetization team and stuff like that. Like in my opinion, it's kind of wrong to be honest, because you don't need that many game designers to run these things.
got it. So yeah, but if I'm trying to be empathetic to this imaginary team, right? Like they just didn't know. How are they
Mm,
supposed to know? Like I'm guessing this
Um,
isn't taught in schools like this, unless it is.
There's no schools. That's
Yeah,
the other big problem with our industry, especially like my craft, like game design, because in programming you have extremely good schools, art design, and all these other things. Like you get perfect schools, but game design is this kind of little anomaly that if you
yeah.
go to some school, like nobody will teach you these things, and you know why? Because they're all trade secrets. Nobody will tell you how to build like Clash Royale economy. Nobody will tell
Especially
you like
mobile games where it's
yeah.
Pirates of the
With mobile
Caribbean.
games, it's literally like we built money printers. Do you want to learn how to build money printers? There's no way because everybody wants to keep it to themselves.
Y- Yeah, because also this is a I don't really believe in zero sum world, but because of the nature of mobile games, it's one of those where yeah, if you make more money in a specific genre, you're kind of hurting the bottom line of the other company because they just have to spend more money on
Of
ads.
course,
So
you
like
take the market share. Yes,
yeah, so
this
it
is, this is
actually
very
is a
very
zero
simple.
sum.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And as I said, like you just don't get these things online anywhere. Like to be honest, like in these days, when I started 10 years ago, it was very, very scarce, and like you could find barely anything there. And I literally had to learn everything. Like there were some people along the way which helped me immensely because they were there, of course, in the industry. But other than that, like most of the things I literally had to like read out, like figure out or whatever myself. But these days there's like so much noise that you don't know what's like actionable, what's not. But still, if you look under it, there's still like there's not a specific thing like how to build a game economy. Nobody has like run this thing like you build it like this or build it like that or
It
whatever.
evolves, right? Like
Yeah,
it's
it
not. It's
evolves.
like how
That's
to
one
make a
thing.
good song.
But but still, the thing is that nobody even gives you the like you cannot ask like a chat gpt to build it because there's no data set for it to learn on it. Like it can learn on code bases or art or whatever, but it cannot learn on like game design docs that are again sitting there locked in the company g drives that will never see the light of the day.
If I want to make a game studio, and I don't want you to be humble here, I want you to be very, very direct with me.
Mm-hmm.
Surely I just pay for a bunch of consultants. Like, I'm just being. I know you can be biased. I'm biased because
Mm-hmm.
we're now friends. You're on the podcast, but like, surely you just have to speak to people who've seen this before. Like, where else are you going to get that information?
You get the information when they were there. Not many people keep the edge, and they do the edge. A lot of the people in the industry have like worked for 10 years or work for something, and then they go consulting, like give the knowledge, and then they get pretty much like like
Yeah,
how do you
they need
say
to
it? Like
sharpen the sword. That's why
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
personally
they lose the edge basically.
like I've been very specific about what like I wasn't going to do much consulting or training. So we have Hive Mind Marketing, but now we have Hive Mind Academy, which is teaching people. The only reason I feel comfortable doing the academy is because we have 9 done for you clients and it's working for them and me. So like this will work for you. Like I know that. But I'm not going to spin this down where what I'm hearing you is like if someone's got 10 years of experience at very fancy logos, which had very fancy numbers, if that was 10 years ago, we're not looking for that now. We're looking for
Man, like this is basically it. Like there are great people that design great games, like Sid Meier or you know John Carmack or whoever, like perfect games that were defining a generation. But these days, if these people would be like, just look at all the Blizzard teams that spin out of Blizzard and they went themselves like to make games. Like even Morhaime himself, like the CEO, president of Blizzard, like all of their games that Dreamhaven is doing are kind of failing, fortunately, because it's they went outside of this Blizzard bubble and like suddenly reality hits in and that's it. And as I said, the Chinese are coming, and there will be a lot of PC stuff coming actually from the east to the west, like we've
yeah.
seen with Black King Wukong. And this is just the first shot.
Are you optimistic about the games industry?
I'm very optimistic about the game industry. It's pretty much like a consolidation in any other industry, same as car industry. It's just people were still again kind of stuck in this mindset of like we do some kind of a good enough game, release it, and then we're millionaires, which doesn't work anymore. It's like this mindset is like 2010 or whatever. Like this doesn't work anymore. The whole concept of like organic traffic being discovered and like all this, like it's just hard work these days. It's UA, it's product marketing funnel, literally. Like the thing that Chinese now have, like this kind of whole funnel, which by the way also like the Turks and Playrix are also using the same kind of a funnel.
You saying the
Uh,
word funnel? Sorry. What if someone is listening and doesn't understand what you mean by
Yeah, yeah.
funnel? Is it
So,
like
what I mean is like as we had this discussion about fake ads. So you start with
Hmm.
fake ads, you get low CPI because you get giant volumes with extremely approachable stuff like that mini games King Shot. Then you get the player into the game. He actually plays that game. He doesn't churn because of the mismatch because you have it built into the game, and you slowly, and I mean really slowly, like few days, basically settle him in. Only then you move him to Forex, the actual game, and it works, and it just works well because the game is literally the game is playing you, because there's
yeah.
notifications and everything. And my dog could play that game if you just click on notifications, and it'll teach you how to play Forex. And if you compare it with like the first generation of Forex, which would be like again Machine Zone, Game of War, all these games, is just like they had like 10%, 15% day one retention or something like horrible, because like they just didn't care, because they just like giant marketing in this giant funnel, and they could just outspend it. But the moment they turn off the UA, the game died. Whereas here these games are constantly rising and making money and like hitting their benchmarks, going around. As I said, River Game is just doing like quarter billion with these games only in the West. So it's a completely different model, and it's very hard to build. Like this is not easy way to get. Oh, just like we just you fake ads and like put it like no, no, not at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
If it would be so easy, we would see
Yeah.
Western
Me and
companies
you
up
would
there in
have
the
a nice
charts.
studio.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
just cool. So I usually reserve the last few minutes of the podcast to the listener who's like, I want Jakub's career, or I want something that Jakub has. Um, let's say you speaking to Jakub from your choice 10 years ago, 5 years ago, a
Mm.
year ago. Like, what would you tell them to, hopefully grow faster, hit their goals faster? Now that you kind of been through kind
Yep.
of what you've
Yeah,
been
yeah.
through.
Um, if you want to be a good game designer, and this is a fortunate truth here, you will need to switch companies a lot because just staying in one company, I literally have a friend that stayed in one company for like 12 years or 10 years, 12 years now. Perfect, like work on the biggest game of the company, work on 3 or 4 projects. That's nice and great. But then he left the company and that's it. Like he need to literally start from scratch because he can make this one game and that's it. And that's your thing. So I've seen until that point because we kind of started the same in the same company, but I went away, of course, and I switched like multiple companies, even a publisher, then went consulting, and then I seen like 70 games plus basically with all the teams data, everything, talk with the guys and try to fix them and do stuff there. It just gives you much more knowledge. And with game design, I just think like people just need to see stuff. Like it's just no other way around it. Like, of course, I'm a little bit more universal in a way that like I seen like much more genres, and I can work on puzzle, I can work on RPG, I can work on simulation or sports. But usually people just focus on their one genre, like puzzle, and or whatever RPG or something. Like that's great, but still, like you need to see more stuff because when you're in a company in 2-3 years you usually hit this kind of knowledge cap if not sitting and like reading the news during the day, and then that's it. Like if you want to grow you need to move somewhere else because
Mm.
it's just like the knowledge isn't there, and the only way to get knowledge is like learn from somebody that's experienced that there. Like one of the biggest things, like I'm always grateful to Peter, which is like one of the best designers I know, that I met in Treplite in Tampere, Finland, which again taught me a lot of things that I would never know ever, never, because I was just like looking what he was doing.
So be surrounding yourself with people who have been there, done that, and if you aren't getting that environment, is it safe to say that people should be spending not as much time, but like pretty much like if that's not happening, you won't grow in your
Yeah,
career,
you
especially
won't
in
grow.
games.
You
Yeah,
just won't grow. Like there's just no way because again, it's not public knowledge. Really, you can't really get it that easily. You just need to see the numbers, touch it, feel the A/B test. Like you can build up your intuition that like this is good, this is bad, this is something that we should be doing. And because with game design, there's this like overall giant pressure that you pretty much like predicting that what you now wrote on this piece of paper will be a money printer. That's basically what we're doing. That like we write this piece of paper, we give it to programmers, we then work with the programmer to work out some edge cases or even program it ourselves. That can also happen or whatever, and then you bet on it that like this thing will make money and will be this kind of money printer that will live for 5-6 years or whatever, and will be kind of keeping the company alive. That's what game designers do, by the way.
yeah, I can imagine.
No
Um,
pressure at all.
yeah. A personal question for you: have you considered teaching in a one-to-many environment? Because I appreciate you do a lot of consulting, but have you ever considered like spinning up
Um,
a class or
I
an academy?
I work at the university during my PhD days. I was literally teaching cyber psychology there for 4 years. Had many students with their thesis and stuff like that. So I've been there, done that. Honestly, I had my kind of portion of that already because as I was like literally drafted there into the gaming company because I was doing VR back in like before even Oculus. So like stuff like that, 2012 or something. Like I literally my first like bachelor thesis was in World of Warcraft, like a
Wow.
survey there. But yeah, I've done that before. It's just like currently I have 2 kids, so don't really have time to do that. Maybe later, maybe later, like when I'm 50 plus or whatever.
Spread
That's
all the knowledge.
something. But I like teaching and everything. It's great. But the thing is that in order to do it, for me, I would need to see that it makes an impact. And by impact, I mean the students, you see them do something with it that
Well,
matters.
I'm thinking not necessarily only students. Like I teach professionals, right? How
Hmm.
to grow their business. And it's tight. It's like a 3 week, really intense. And then there's a community. And yeah, I'm just genuinely curious because I've seen other people do it. And from speaking to you today, I know you'd kill it. I'm just curious if you ever considered it, like even for just current professionals, not just students.
Current schedule because of my 2 kids is so full that
Yeah,
I'm
fair
barely
enough.
find
Yeah.
time to sleep.
This is
So
zero
not
kids
now.
Harry asking the question. So
Yeah, this is
I
no kids. Jakub answering.
um, great. Thank you so much, man. It's been a great conversation. Um, how can people find you if they want to get in touch, pick
Yeah,
your brain?
best case to find me is of course on my LinkedIn. I still unfortunately don't have the web page, but it's coming soon because I just cannot take the inbounds
AI,
that
Jakub.
much.
AI.
Yeah,
Use
yeah,
that
I'll
China
AI,
AI
no
and just
worries.
spin one up now.
And yeah, best case other than LinkedIn is of course find us on our channel or Slack channel on 2.5 gamers, either two and
Maybe
a half
explain that a
gamers.
bit because it's actually quite a big deal for if someone hasn't heard of it, God forbid. Maybe explain
Yeah,
what's
yeah.
inside.
So we run this podcast, which is 2.5 gamers, which we pretty much share our knowledge from the 3 consultants that we do with Mate, Felix, and me from both UA.
Who's the half gamer?
Felix, of
Technical.
course.
Nice.
By height Mate, by game Felix.
Nice.
Yeah, where we share a lot of knowledge. We now run 4 episodes a week, where we do game reviews, we do even genre reviews, creative reviews, solo episodes on specific topics, even news breakdowns on every Fridays these days. Lots
Nice.
of stuff. There's live interviews with devs, pretty much talking about their game and reviewing stuff. So whatever you find there. And then there's also a Slack channel which is open to everyone. You can find the links there in our YouTube videos or in link, around the place. Basically, it's scattered there. There's more than 3,000 people there. You can join in and again ask your questions. Even a promo channel if you want, like say something to the community or whatever. So it's like this kind of very, very helpful community of professionals that kind of share a lot of things.
Beautiful. Fantastic. Great. I'm gonna share my screen and maybe inspire you, Jakub. So you might like this. So my website designer is my cousin. They're great. This designed website that I've got here was actually designed by Manus.
Okay, I know Menace.
Yeah. So I don't want excuses with your website. Like people like this website. Freaking Manus did it, bro. Obviously, it was then done in Figma, but like you can get a website spinned up relatively quickly right
Yep.
now.
Yeah. I'll get to it. No worries. Like after
Okay, cool.
we'll be actually going to Vegas this year with Mate.
MAU?
Yeah, MAU. So we'll be
Awesome.
there before 1 week before I'm being Ho Chi Minh in, at the Games Forum event, because like Vietnam is really blowing up even for me. I have like 4 Vietnam clients already that I'm
Awesome. Nice.
working on very stable basis because they're extremely hungry over there. So yeah, hopefully there will be something by that time that you can also find online.
Alrighty. Jakub, thank you so much. Everyone, check the links in the description for all the stuff we just said. And if you've been this far, maybe send this to a friend. Subscribe. I know you want to. All right. That's my little cringe call to action at the end. All right. Goodbye, everyone.